The rain fell in silver sheets over the city, blurring the glowing skyline and the loneliness of a man who had everything except what really mattered. Ethan Cole, the 42-year-old CEO of Cole Enterprises, sat alone in the back of his sleek black car, scrolling through messages filled with numbers, deals, and deadlines. Not one of them said, "Happy birthday, Ethan." He gave a bitter smile. What was the point of all the money in the world when you had no one to celebrate with? His wife had left him years ago, tired of his obsession with work, and his parents were long gone. Even the employees who once admired him now feared him. To the world, Ethan Cole was powerful, but inside, he was just tired. As his car stopped at a red light near a small park, something caught his eye. A little girl standing under a streetlight, drenched from the rain, clutching a tiny pink backpack. Her shoes were soaked, and she looked like she hadn't eaten in days. Ethan frowned. She couldn't have been more than 8. He rolled down the window slightly. "Hey, are you okay?" The girl turned, startled but not scared. Her big brown eyes met his, filled with a kind of innocence that broke through his guarded heart. She hesitated before stepping closer, clutching something tightly in her hand. "Mr. Shea," said softly, shivering, "can you be my dad? Just for one day?" Ethan blinked. "What?" She stretched out her small hand, revealing a crumpled $50 bill. "Here's $50. It's all I have. I just need a dad for today." The words hit him like a punch. Didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Why? Why do you need a dad for one day?" he asked gently. The girl looked down, twisting the bill nervously. "Tomorrow's the father-daughter day at my school. Everyone has a dad coming, but mine. Mine's in heaven." Her voice cracked. "I just didn't want to be the only one standing alone again." Ethan felt his chest tighten. He'd faced billion-dollar negotiations without flinching, but this tiny girl offering her last bit of money for something he had long forgotten the meaning of it, broke him. He stepped out of the car, removed his coat, and gently placed it over her shoulders. "You don't need to pay me anything," he said softly. "What's your name, Lily?" she whispered. "Well, Lily," Ethan said, smiling for the first time in months. "I think I'd be honored to be your dad for one day." The next morning, Ethan found himself standing in front of a small, cheerful elementary school, holding Lily's hand. She wore a clean little dress he'd bought her that morning, and her smile was brighter than any boardroom victory he'd ever had. "Are you nervous?" he asked. She shook her head. "Nope, I'm happy. Finally have a dad, Yvonne, if it's just today." Those words stung. Ethan didn't know why, but he didn't want it to be just today. Throughout the event, Ethan helped her paint a wooden picture frame, pushed her on the swings, and even tried dancing during the father-daughter song. Their parents smiled at the sight of the stoic, suit-wearing man laughing like a kid. He hadn't laughed like that in years. At one point, Lily proudly introduced him to her teacher. "This is my dad. He's really rich," she said innocently. Ethan chuckled awkwardly, but the teacher only smiled. "She's talked about wanting a dad for months," she whispered. "Thank you for making her wish come true." When the event ended, Lily gave him the painted frame. Inside was a photo she'd taken with a disposable camera earlier that day, her tiny arms wrapped around his neck, both of them smiling. On the frame she'd written in colorful paint, "Best dad for a day." Ethan felt something he hadn't felt in years: purpose. "Lily, do you have anyone to take care of you?" he asked quietly as they walked home. She shrugged. "I stay at Mrs. Turner's house. She's my neighbor. Mom went to heaven when I was 6 and Dad before that. Mrs. Turner says I'm brave, but sometimes I get lonely." Ethan stopped walking. He looked at her small, fragile form, yet so full of courage. He'd realized that maybe, just maybe, she wasn't the only one who was lonely. Weeks passed. Ethan couldn't stop thinking about Lily. He sent her little gifts anonymously: a warm coat, new shoes, books, but what she truly needed wasn't things. One day, he visited her foster guardian, Mrs. Turner, to ask permission to see her again. Mrs. Turner smiled knowingly. "She talks about you every day, Mr. Cole. You changed her life that day, but I think she changed yours more." Ethan's throat tightened. "Can I take her out for ice cream?" From that day on, they began meeting every weekend. They went to the zoo, baked cookies, built sandcastles. Each time, Ethan felt more alive. Lily called him Dad by accident once, and instead of correcting her, he hugged her and whispered, "I like that." A few months later, Ethan sat in a courtroom, his hands trembling. He wasn't negotiating a deal this time. He was signing adoption papers. Lily sat beside him, holding his hand tightly. When the judge smiled and said, "Congratulations, Mr. Cole. You're officially her father," Lily jumped up and wrapped her arms around his neck. "See? I told you," she giggled.
I
"Just needed a dad for one day. I got one forever." Tears streamed down Ethan's face as he whispered, "No, sweetheart. You gave me something forever. You gave me a reason to live again." Years later, when Lily graduated college, Ethan stood in the front row, clapping with tears in his eyes. She looked at him, smiled, and mouthed, "I love you, Dad." And he realized the little girl who once offered him $50 didn't buy a day of fatherhood. She bought back his heart. Message: love doesn't come from wealth, power, or status. It comes from connection, compassion, and courage. Sometimes the smallest hearts remind us of the biggest truths, that giving love is the greatest fortune of all.